think of a rubber band, and they stretch it on both ends. On this side, they ramp up their activity. They do shit tons of cardio. Then they stretch it on this end by starving themselves. What do rubber bands that get stretched too far, too fast do? They physically break or they snap back. All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. I am your host, Brian. Thank you so much for being back with me again. This week, I am excited to talk about a very common topic, a very common struggle that I know many of you deal with because I do it for a living. I help people do this for a living. I have a lot of conversations around losing weight. I have a lot of conversations around fat loss, around people's constant struggle with the process. And I put up a post recently on LinkedIn and it got a lot of feedback. I got a lot of people paying attention to it. By the way, if you're on social media, typically a lot of people are on Instagram. I don't even know if you're on Facebook or not because I tend to not be on Facebook. But I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn these days. I find it to be a much more conducive place for me to share a lot of my education. You don't have to have flashy videos in order for people to actually value the content. You don't have to figure out how to hook somebody in 4 seconds, or you're going to lose them to the next ass video that pops up with a girl who's actually doing dumbbell curls for her arms, but has her ass in the camera for you to look at. And so that's pretty nice. It's actually pretty nice. Now that I've been growing my size, putting on a little size recently, and I gotta say, I'm looking pretty good. My backside's looking pretty good. I think they call it the posterior chain. For those who are a little bit more informed than me, my posterior chain is looking pretty good. Nonetheless, it's a place where I feel like I can just educate, add value, and people actually take the time to read the information, to watch the videos. And so I posted recently some advice on 4 reasons you're not losing weight. And we're going to get to those because I guarantee you're doing at least one, if not multiple, and maybe even all 4 wrong because they're very common. It wasn't just like you're eating too much. Of course, you're eating too much. But before we do that, I wanted to just again appreciate and say thank you for everyone who is engaging with me, who is sharing the show, who is mentioning the show. Shout out to the boys at Pulling the Cork. That is a good friend of mine and a couple of his masshole buddies. And if you know me, you know I say masshole with complete love and affection. I love all my masshole friends. I went to college in Vermont, and most of the school were Boston area people. And they're a funny bunch. They're a very quirky bunch of people. They're very passionate. They say words really funny. They sound very unintelligent sometimes. They go to Dunkin' to get their bagels. They just have a lot of weird tendencies. But I love my man Brendan, aka Mo. They all call him Brendan on the show. It does not for me. I love my man Mo. I've gotten introduced to some of his friends in his community. They have a great podcast. They yuck it up. They have a blast. I oftentimes listen to them and get a little like jealous that I don't have co-hosts and I'm not sitting around a bar drinking beers, talking about Boston shit. But I'm going to be on the show in late May when I go out to Boston. So if you live in Boston, hit me up. Let me know if you live there, and I would love to connect with you when I'm out there in late May. But they sent me a sweet hoodie. I'm a sponsored athlete for the PTC boys. If you do listen to podcasts, you're obviously listening to one right now, so I don't have to go tell you to listen to mine, but go check them out. They're good friends of the show, as I am for them as well. So if you're on YouTube, you can see me. So if you're listening right now, head over to YouTube. Check out the hoodie. Check out the hair. I shaved this morning. I'm looking pretty good. You can't really tell, but I'm in a little bit of a cut and feeling real jacked these days. I'm in the process of shedding a few pounds. I went from the low 220s up to high 240s, and now we're just cutting back a little bit. And then we'll probably live in this, low 230s, mid 230s range for a little while. Enjoy myself, enjoy my life, and then maybe go look to put back on a little bit more muscle. as the rest of the year, maybe after the summer. I don't know. I'm going to listen to my coach. That's what I do. I hire a coach who I know knows what the hell they're doing, a program that I know what the hell they're doing, and I just listen to them. And that's what you should do too. Okay? Whether it's me, whether it's another program, hire an expert and just fucking listen to them. Okay? So you can't really see, but I'm looking pretty good right now. Feeling good, executing. I am as dialed in and as committed as I possibly can be right now. Well, I shouldn't say that because we all have another gear. We all have another gear. I would say I'm as dialed in and committed as I've been in a long time. And for those who know me know that I'm pretty goddamn committed. And so that is a statement that is saying something. I feel this sense of responsibility to my clients because I'm really starting to push many of my clients who I know are ready for that next gear. And I'm starting to work with several executive teams. One starts today at the time of this recording dropping on Monday, March 5th, I believe, March 4th, March 5th. And I have a few more coming on. And so I live my life by leading by example. That's what I know I'm great at. I know I have a superpower to show up. I know I have a superpower to show you the how in your busy professional life. I know that the things that you believe to be true, but I also believe them to be true, and I was proven wrong. And so they are bullshit. I lived it. I changed my life. I do these things now every goddamn day, and I'm not special. And my goal is for you to connect with me in some way and go, he's kind of pretty normal dude. Like he drinks beers once in a while and, he enjoys things that I enjoy. Like I see him drinking vodka and smoking a cigar on a golf course. It's 9:30 in the morning on a Friday. Like that sounds like a pretty cool life. It is a pretty cool life. It is a pretty cool life when you're able to do these things and still look and feel your best. And while that takes time to get there, it's entirely possible because I am not special. And that makes you just like me. And you're capable of more than you think. And that is not the intention of this podcast. The intention of this podcast is to talk to you about the 4 reasons why you're not losing weight. But before we do that, we have another review from my man B-Talk. Pretty sure I know who this is. He says, Brian gives, first of all, his title is Real Advice for Real Professionals. Ain't that the freaking truth? Brian gives actionable advice each week on how successful professionals can achieve success personally like they have professionally. This is my first listen of each work week, bite-sized and good takeaways. I don't know if you remember my friend Dave's review the week prior that I read, and it was to the same effect. It was like, it pushes you, but it's reasonable. It's bite-sized, but you can implement it. And like if those, by the way, these are 2 of my superstar clients, I believe, that left these reviews the last 2 weeks, and 2 of my most impactful people in my circle, my circle of influence, I guess you call it. And they're 2 of my most high-performing professionals. And like, if these guys can do the things that I ask of, any of you, I'm waving my finger at the camera, any of you can do this stuff. There's nobody busier than the 2 guys that left a review. So if you haven't left a review yet because you're too goddamn busy, Dave and Jeff are way busier than you. All right, so leave a damn review, leave a rating, tell somebody about the show. But most importantly, do the shit that they do constantly, consistently, over and over and over and over and over again. Love both of these guys. I love myself. None of us are special. You can do it too. But that's the point. The point is like, what I'm realizing I'm great at is the how, is understanding exactly where you're at, is showing you the depths that I took my life and almost blew it all up, and how I systematically rebuilt it. The phrase Rome was not rebuilt in a day. I continue to rebuild my life every single day with a little bit of vodka and a cigar on a golf course along the way. Because what's life worth rebuilding if you can't enjoy it with your boys on the golf course? B-Talk, I appreciate the review. If you haven't left one yet, please do. Leave a 5-star rating, leave a review. Let's dig in. Why are you not losing weight? All right, there's 4 reasons. There's a lot of reasons, but these 4 are like the hidden ones that you're not paying enough attention to. I want to cover them real quick. We're going to rip this, all right? Reason number 1, you don't walk enough. You don't walk enough. I don't give a crap about your calorie counter. I don't care how many calories you burned on your Whoop. I don't care what the Peloton tells you. I know that you do your spin class. I don't give a shit. You do not walk enough. You get your daily workout in, then you sit around your high pressure job most of the day. You commute sitting, you go home and sit, and you do it all again tomorrow. You are the typical client that I get that comes in the door. Remember, I am a high-priced program. Usually, I get one of two clients. One is very well off, knows I got the answers to their problems, knows that they haven't done shit, and says, F it, I'm in, I'll do whatever you say. The other one is a little bit more typical, again, very successful, at a cost, has tried things, is doing things, and not seeing results. You don't go hire a very expensive coach if you haven't tried and failed over and over and over and over again. And so when they come in and go, yeah, I'm exercising. I get it. I know you're exercising. Number one, you might be doing the wrong exercise. We'll touch upon that in a second. Number two, how many steps you take in a day? I burn 2,000 calories a day on my watch. I didn't ask that question. I said, how many steps are you taking per day? Well, I get on my bike when I wake. I didn't ask that question. How many steps do you take a day? We don't walk enough. High-performing professionals sit around too much. There are so many ways to do it. If you want to know more strategies, number one, you could just cut right to the chase and freaking hire me. Number two, you could pay attention to me either on LinkedIn or Instagram. I show a lot of ways that you can pick up steps, that you can do some of these little things throughout your day. Number two reason you are not losing weight, you're doing too much cardio. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Relax. You're doing too much cardio and not enough resistance training. And worst of all, you combine the two. Running around the gym, sweaty, flopping around all over the place, doing a bunch of burpees, getting off of the dumbbell bench press and running right over to the rowing machine and flopping around on the rowing machine, and then getting off of that and doing some body weight squats, and then heading over to the spin bike and then spinning, and then coming back over and doing dumbbell curl press, stupid ass movements, and you're never actually pushing yourself from a resistance perspective inside of your strength training properly. Please note, I did not say do not do cardio, although you don't have to. If your goal is fat loss, remember, everything is contextual, and you actually don't have to do cardio to be 12% body fat, which most of you aren't even freaking close, including myself right now. I didn't say don't do cardio. You're just doing it wrong. Lift weights harder. This, if I know I'm going to upset and offend so many people right now, and it's your fault, not mine. I didn't say don't do cardio. If your goal is fat loss, if you want to look better naked, if you want to take your shirt off at the pool and have everybody go, what the fuck is that guy doing? You do not need to do cardio. I didn't say that you shouldn't do cardio because cardio is tremendous for cardiovascular health. Cardio is great if you are going to run some fucking race or compete in some sort of aerobic activity that requires you to have a cardiovascular level of fitness that is above somebody who just walks. Cardio is also great if maybe you want to play with your kids. So it's extremely functional. Again, I didn't say don't do it. I just said stop doing it inside of your strength training workout. Stop doing body weight squats and lifting 20-pound dumbbells and start lifting real weight. You too, ladies. You too. Stop lifting 5s when you can lift 25s. You're capable. I know you are. When it's time to lift, lift. Then rest. Sit your ass down or pace around the gym. Do not run over to do a bunch of abs. Keep your ass out of the kitchen late at night and manage your calories and eat more protein. That's what's going to build your abs. When I say build, I mean shed the fat to show the abs that you already have. When it's time to lift, lift. Lift weights harder. Rest. Do it again. Save your cardio for cardio time. You want to do it before your workout? Cool. You want to do it after your workout? Cool. You want to do it completely on a different day? That's cool too. What's my current training split, you ask? I lift 4 days a week. I sprinkle in like this little athletic performance type of day, like for a 5th day. I do at least two, zone 2. It's fancy for saying I get my heart rate up a little bit. Everyone loves to talk about zone 2 now. Zone 2 is if you were moving around and you and I could still have a conversation. You weren't so out of breath that we could still have a conversation. All right. So think like your typical jog on the treadmill. Think about, maybe the Stairmaster at a slow pace. Think about, walking up a hill and still having a conversation. Maybe it's the elliptical. I don't know. Whatever. All right. Not like hard sprints. If you're going to do harder sprints, you're going to be out of breath. You're not going to be able to talk. That's going to probably be into zone 3. Okay. So save your cardio for cardio time. I do that type of cardio twice a week. And then I get my heart rate up, max heart rate up at least once a week. Usually just about once. I should do more. But you really only need to do, from a longevity standpoint, from all the things that I'm starting to read and pay attention to, you need 1 session like that a week. Think like bike sprints. Think sprints on the treadmill for short periods of time and then get off and rest. Longer rests than you think, by the way. Then get back on and do that 5, 6, 7 times or something like that. Pretty brutal when you're in it, but it doesn't last that long. The total time spent is like 10 to 15 minutes. You need one of those sessions. Then you just need a bunch of zone 2. And that's where you can maximize your longevity, heart health, with looking your best. And that's where I'm headed. I'm not there yet, but that's where I'm headed. Reason number 3 that you are not losing weight. You're not tracking your consumption. And you're drinking too much alcohol. This one's going to be a dagger for you. Brian, I don't want to live my life tracking food on an app. Okay, cool. How do you do at work not tracking? How's your performance inside of your business when you have 0 analytics? How's it work out for you? I didn't say you have to track for the rest of your life, but tracking brings a level of awareness to what you're doing. You start to understand what certain things are. You can then apply that knowledge for the rest of your life. I could live a very healthy life at this point, never tracking again because I've tracked for years. But you should probably track for at least a year if you want to live in an elite body for the rest of your life. And it doesn't have to be a year straight, but you should definitely track for 6 months. Then maybe take a break and then track a little bit more. See how you do when you don't track. You can't improve what you don't measure. Again, think about all the analytics you have at your job. It's like absurd, especially like my old profession. We should buy, like imagine an analyst coming up to you if you trade, if you commit capital. We should buy this. Awesome. What's it look like? Show me the model. It's a good company. That's great. Well, how'd they do last quarter? Yeah, they're pretty good. It's really good company. We should buy it. Okay. Do you have any analytics behind it? Do you know who's been buying it? Who's been selling it? Do you know what they've been doing in terms of reporting for the last 4 quarters? It's pretty good. That's what we all say. I'm eating pretty good. My nutrition's pretty good. Monday through Wednesday. You can't improve what you don't measure. Just treat it like a job. If knowing, I jokingly say this a lot, but it ain't a joke. If knowing what 300 grams of egg whites looked like made you more money, made you more successful in your career, you take the time to figure it out. Again, I understand it's a kind of a ridiculous comparison. It's a bit sensational. They don't actually have direct correlation to each other, but sort of do. And you would take the time to figure it out. And when someone said, why do you have to know that for your job? You'd be like, because it creates success. Because I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm at the position I'm in because I've been doing it. Why do you do the basics in your job? Because it creates success, right? You're consuming too much alcohol. I don't really know how else to say it. You say it's a couple drinks here and there. You have no idea how to live your life socially without it. You do it just because. Everyone I work with, every single person I work with, 30 out of 32 people that I work with, I don't know why I just thought of those 2 numbers, have 6 to 8 meaningless drinks a week when they start with me. And it is the place. It's not the place that we attack first, because I know that it's going to be a difficult conversation and a difficult habit to consistently reduce. So I go elsewhere, because if I can get them bought in elsewhere, then we attack that afterwards. But at some point with everyone, we have to address it. You're drinking too much. It's the unfortunate reality. The polyphenols in your red wine, the antioxidants in your red wine are not healthy. I'm sorry. It's a fucking toxin. Alcohol is a toxin. I'm never giving up my I shouldn't say never to anything. I'm very rarely going to not have a vodka, club soda, splash of OJ on the golf course with my boys. But it's a toxin. It is what it is. So you have to realize, and you have to be honest with yourself about the decisions that you make after you have a drink. I think for the first time in a long time, I had a protein shake in the afternoon after having a vodka on the golf course in the morning. Like, your nutrition will suffer. It always does. You're definitely going to eat less protein. You're likely going to make worse food quality choices. Now, I get it. Yeah, you could have a glass of wine with your steak and your baked potato and your broccoli on a Tuesday night. I understand. But it impacts your sleep. You usually don't have one. If we're being honest with ourselves, let's be honest with ourselves. All podcasts, folks. Who in the hell pours a normal serving of wine? It's like, who takes a normal serving of peanut butter on the spoon? I'm not sure I want to hang out with you if you take a normal serving size of peanut butter. It's not possible. We all pour doubles. No matter what the drink is, we pour doubles. So if you are tracking, just put 2 in, be honest. So systematically reducing your alcohol. I like to go for the moments, two approaches here. Attack the moments that are not experiential. So that would probably be that stressful Tuesday. Come home and do something else. I got tons of strategies for you inside of my programs. And here's the hard one. Just because it's Saturday at 4:00 and the games are on, doesn't mean you have to crack a fucking beer. There are other things you could do. You could watch the games without drinking. Shocker. You could crack a non-alcoholic beer. I realize I might have some people unsubscribe for just speaking those words. I'm interested in performance. I'm interested in the goals that I have. I'm interested in becoming this version of myself that I am not yet. That version of me does not start drinking at 4 p.m. every single goddamn Saturday. It's just the truth. And the version of you that if I had you close your eyes and you described to me was like so attractive, like he or she may not have a 6-pack and maybe mine does. I don't know. I don't know what you want. But what I do know is there is not one person who would close their eyes and describe themselves in the future that is so fucking unbelievable, that is such an incredible version of themselves that isn't impressive in every area. Like, there's no way if I had you close your eyes and you're like, tell me about how you look, and then tell me about your intimate relationship with whoever it is that you want to be with. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your bank account. Tell me about what you do for a living. It's going to be passion-filled, purpose-filled. Not one description would be unimpressive. Not one. So that version of you likely doesn't do a lot of the things you're doing right now. If you want the free, the most inexpensive, most interactive coach that you can take around with you everywhere, just do that. Come up with this attractive character that you want to become. Write it all down, put it on a note card, keep it in your pocket, keep a visual representation of him or her like above you at all times, and just check in. Does the future version of Brian do this right now? Hey, dude that I want to be, would you be proud of me if I did this? The answer is always really clear. You're not tracking your consumption and you're drinking too much alcohol. Got to clean those up. Number 4 reason you are not losing weight, even when you are dieting, even when you start to lift some weights. You're not eating enough protein and you're not eating enough fiber. I've yet to begin working with one person in the last 5 years, which now is pushing within my corporate programs too. It's got to be pushing north of 300 people. I've yet to begin working with one person in 5 years that eats adequate protein when they begin working with me. That's a fact. Right? What you learn when you work with me is how important protein is from a macronutrient standpoint, and how important fiber is to help, number one, keep you healthy for the long term. Studies will show that higher quantities of consuming fiber reduces all-cause mortality, aka dying less. Seems like a pretty good goal. They both will keep you fuller for longer, okay, and allow you to reduce your calories to get into a caloric deficit, which is what you need to be in scientifically in order to lose weight. And so, yes, it is ultimately about eating less and moving more, or just eating less. You typically can't move more your way to more weight loss, which is what people try to do most of the time. People take a rubber band, think of a rubber band, and they stretch it on both ends. On this side, they ramp up their activity. They do shit tons of cardio. Then they stretch it on this end by starving themselves. What do rubber bands that get stretched too far, too fast do? They break, physically break, or they snap back. Now, breaking would be you being like, I can't do this anymore, and going off the rails 8 days in on the weekend. Snapping back would be this yo-yo effect that we all have. Everybody listening to this has probably lost 20 pounds. Have you kept it off? Have you kept it off? Not many people have. And that's the interesting part of, like, this is a complete side tangent. A lot of the weight loss drugs that are becoming very popular, again, I am not completely negative on weight loss drugs. They serve a purpose for a particular type of person. But it's the losing of the weight that's not necessarily the problem. It's the keeping of the weight off that is the problem in our culture. And so while a lot of people need to lose a significant amount of weight and could benefit from their blood work improving, because most likely their blood work will improve, you will become healthier even if you become way under muscled, which is likely to happen on those drugs, which may cause a whole nother set of problems. Most likely you get healthier in the short term. And if you combine that with some strength training and eating protein and getting some good coaching, you might have something. But not many people are probably doing that. You need to be consuming more protein to ramp up your metabolism. You need to be consuming more protein because our bodies take it very, very seriously. It's the building blocks of our cells. You need to be consuming protein because it helps you create and promote more lean muscle on your frame. That muscle is more expensive to service. Protein is what is called, or in fancy terms, has the highest thermogenic effect of all three, the macronutrients. Or I guess there's 4 macronutrients, alcohol too. It's going to cost your body more energy to break it down. It's going to keep you feeling fuller longer. So a plate of grilled chicken and a plate of pretzels, I realize this is a sensational example, you are going to feel much fuller for longer and expend more energy digesting the grilled chicken on the margin. You're also going to help build more lean muscle with the grilled chicken. And so up your protein, up your fiber, aka fruits and vegetables. Think protein and produce, big strategy inside of my executive program. Let's keep it super simple. How many ingredients does it have? Am I prioritizing protein? How many fruits and vegetables, aka produce, aka fiber, can I add? If you ask yourself those 3 questions, is it real food? How close to nature is it? Is it, a steak that came from a cow? Is it a berry that was picked off of a tree? Or is it corn that turned into a frickin' Dorito somehow through massive amounts of processing? Everything is processed for the most part. It's processing that goes into everything. How processed is it though? It's relative. Context, nuance. So let's recap. 4 reasons you're not losing weight. Number 1, you do not walk enough. I don't care how many calories you're burning per day. What your fitness tracker is telling you. Take that, throw it in the garbage, and start walking at least 10,000 steps a day if you want to lose weight. Can you walk less and be healthy? Of course you can. Is 10,000 a really good barometer to push yourself to get to and also exceed? Of course it is. Number 2, you're doing too much cardio and not enough resistance training. Put down the cardio, pick up the goddamn weights. Push yourself in the set till you want to stop. Then you can go farther. Then you're done. Then rest. Then do it again. Number 3, you're not tracking your consumption and you're drinking too much alcohol. Number 4, you do not eat enough protein and fiber. If you found some useful information out of this, please tell somebody about it. If you would feel so called to leave a rating or review for the podcast, I would really appreciate that. If you haven't checked me out on YouTube yet, could you go over and just hit the subscribe button and maybe check out a video or two? See some swag from the boys. Check out my crooked nose, 2 broken noses, picking up a couple charges back in the day. Tend to shave and at least do my hair for these. I appreciate you. Have a great week. I'll see you back here soon.